For practice at exercise 5.3 toBinary, we're going to write a method named toBinary. It's going to accept a string, or I'm sorry, an integer as a parameter and return a string. So we're going to have public static type string, the name is toBinary, and then inside of here we are going to have int, and we will just call this n for number, and that is our method header. We need to return the string of the number's representation in binary. So we're going to have to convert this number to binary, but we know we have to return a string. So below here, before we end the function, we're just going to return, and I'll just call this our binary. We can end our method, and then up here, we are going to need to make a string called binary, and we'll just set it equal to nothing right now. Now, we are going to need to look at this value. And what we can do is, we know that binary, we are basically using the 2's power. And so every time we look at this 42, right, this is the binary representation of it. This is the 2 to the 0th. This next one is 2 to the 1st. This next one is 2 to the 2nd. This is 2 to the 3rd, 2 to the 4th, and 2 to the 5th. 2 to the 5th is 32. So this is going to be included in here. There is a playlist, I think it's in math, about actually converting to binary numbers. If you don't know how to do that, but it's pretty simple, and that is what we're going to be doing. So we have this 42, and then we are going to have this 32 here, so we're going to have 10 left over. What we can do is, we'll actually see how to manipulate this in a second, actually. So we'll come back to that. But to start this off, we are going to need to run this, since we're manipulating our number, until it's 0, so there's nothing left to manipulate. So instead of here, we are going to have a while loop. We're running this while does not equal to 0. And this is actually a little bit easier to run in a for loop, but since the code is mentioning while loop, we're going to do it in a while loop and then a for loop. So while our number does not equal to 0, we're going to be inside of here. And so we need our binary string to change. We're going to set binary equal to, and well, we can look at it starting from the left side, or we can look at it from the right. And what we can do is, we are going to first start, we need this to be a 0 right here, right? Well, if we take this 42, and we know binary is dealing with 2's, and we use the modulus of 2, we're going to get 21. There's no remainder here, so this is a 0. Now, if we were to then divide by 2, we would see that 21 divided by 2 gives us a remainder of 1. But then we're going to have 10 since it's an integer, right? Because we're dealing with integers, not doubles. And so 10 divided by 2 is going to give us this 0, because the only value that it's going to return is 5. And then 5 divided by 2 is going to give us a remainder of 1, goes to 4, so then we're going to have 2 here. 2 divided by 2 is 0, gives us a 0, and so the value that's returned is 1. So then we're going to have 1 divided by 2, and this obviously gives us a remainder of 1. So now that that works out, all we have to do is code it. So we have binary is equal to, we are going to take our n number. I said the modulus of 2 because we're looking at the remainders here. So we're going to have modulus 2, and then we want to append this every single time to what we have here so far. So we're just going to do plus binary, and this is going to append it, and we can end the line. It's not going to append it, it's actually going to prepend it, because it's putting it before our previous value. So that's how that's going to work. And now we are going to need to divide this every single time by 2. So we're just going to have n divided by equals 2. We can end this line, and we can end our while loop. Now, this is if n does not equal to 0. That's when it's going to run. But what if we're passed in a 0? We can't just return nothing. So we're going to say if our n is equal to 0, we're going to be inside of here, and then we are going to just return 0, because the binary of 0 is just 0. And we actually have an error here. I don't know if that's preventing it from running, but this return right here needs to be of type string. So it can't just return a 0, it has to be a string like this.
And so we can just click submit from here. It'll run our tests, and we've
pass 5 out of 5 tests. So that is how we would write the exercise 5.3 to binary.